Repeated surges of cold air headed to the bi-state region through this long holiday weekend, and that prompts a weather impact alert for part of the weekend. The frigid forecast ahead.
St. Louis city leaders touting a big bite out of crime.
We had an incredible year.
Tonight we verify an impressive stat on murder cases solved. Programs helping people in crisis and tackling addiction on the chopping block.
If you think it's not impacting you, like, oh, it don't have nothing to do with me, it's impacting your neighbor.
Tonight, community groups sound the alarm on sweeping cuts to federal funding.
5 on your side, breaking news now.
We are following breaking news out of Minneapolis, where more protests have broken out after another shooting involving a federal officer. Thanks for joining us. For 5 on your side at 10, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. Tonight, federal officials say the officer was defending his life. The shooting happened about 2 hours ago. Homeland Security says the immigration enforcement officer was trying to make an arrest when they were ambushed by 3 people armed with a shovel and broom handle. The officer shot one of them in the leg. They're being treated for their injury. Two others were arrested. This latest shooting happening just a few miles from where an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good, an anti-immigration enforcement protester, exactly 1 week ago. Well, the January chill has returned, and if you think it's cold now, just wait.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell has already issued a weather impact alert day for a bitter blast arriving in about 72 hours.
You know, it's just a series of cold air surging across the region. First came in this afternoon. You felt it with that gusty wind. Another one's coming Friday, and by late Saturday into Sunday, that's when we think the coldest time is going to be. That's when our wind chills are dropping to around 0. So later Saturday evening, Saturday night, early Sunday morning, it's flat out going to be bitter across the area once again. Temperatures have dropped back into the 20s this evening. Skies have cleared. We still have the gusty breezes, and we still have wind chills. Down into the single digits north of St. Louis, mid-teens is what it feels like right now. Heading out the door tomorrow morning, think wind chills will be around 8-10 degrees for St. Louis. The winds won't be as strong, but you're going to be looking at mainly clear skies, cold temperatures to start tomorrow morning. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk about the potential for a little snow heading into tomorrow evening and why we're not too concerned about it at this point.
Hours ago, a jury convicted the man police say went on a shooting spree inside an Applebee's restaurant in St. John, killing a woman and injuring 2 others. Tonight, 5 on your side's Robert Townsend brings us the new developments of this high-profile case.
June 22nd, 2020, the day horrifying crime sent shockwaves across the St. Louis area. Police say Courtney Washington was first eating inside this Applebee's in St. John with his girlfriend and others when he got up and shot Kimberly Penton and her friend Lakeisha Finch, who were dining together. Penton died. Police say Washington then went to the other side of the restaurant and shot Kinloch firefighter Arlydia Buford. None of the victims knew Washington.
He brushed up against one of the waitresses, and I'm not going to give the exact quote, but basically that things were about to get real.
Police say after the shootings, Washington left the restaurant. St. John police arrested him the next morning. Kimberly Penton's devastated husband found strength to remember her at a vigil a year later.
We just wanted to come out here and to celebrate her life. You know, she was such a beautiful person, beautiful woman, wife, mother.
5.5 years later, a jury has now convicted Courtney Washington on second-degree murder, 2 counts of assault, and 3 counts of armed criminal action for the crimes. Crimes that forever changed the lives of 3 women and their loved ones. Arlydia Buford's mom said her daughter always dreamed of becoming a firefighter.
She actually had pretty much almost a full ride to Lamar Owens College for softball, and she chose firefighting over that.
County Prosecutor Melissa Price Smith said in part, quote, "I thank our skilled trial team and a diligent jury for holding this heartless murderer accountable, and we pray for the family of Kimberly Penton and for peace for the surviving victims." Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Both living suspects testified. One is now paralyzed and needs assistance to get out of bed. The other is blind in one eye. Courtney Washington will be sentenced on February 19th. Tonight, St. Louis police are investigating a deadly double shooting that left 2 men dead. It happened just before noon on Hamilton Avenue in the West End neighborhood. Police say the 2 men got into an argument inside an apartment. One of them shot and killed the other. A third man shot and killed the shooter, who ran off and collapsed in a nearby field and died. Police say that third person is cooperating with police.
Tonight, St. Louis police leaders are touting big progress, pointing to fewer murders and a high clearance rate as proof the city is safer. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, is verifying those numbers by putting them through some old school scrutiny, breaking down what they mean and how they are calculated, and where the story gets more complicated.
At a Tuesday press conference,
we had an incredible year.
Police Chief Robert Tracy and Mayor Kara Spencer celebrated a safer St. Louis.
Last year, our homicides were down by a remarkable 45% since the high in 2020, making it the lowest number of homicides since in 12 years.
We can verify that claim is true. 141 murders in 2025 is the low point in the last 12 years.
But it's not just about the murders. It's very important. And having clearance rates where the people are held accountable.
Here, Chief Tracy gives the impression that the homicide clearance rate means killers face justice. But when we sat down with his commander of the homicide division, Lieutenant John Blaskowitz added important context to the clearance rate definition.
If you're asking what needed to be added, how many of these defendants spend time in jail? That's not something we track.
So what does go into a big claim like this?
The national average a couple of years ago was 50% in the United States of clearing homicide cases. We're at 84%.
Clearing homicide cases does not mean convictions. In fact, it doesn't mean prison time or guilty pleas. It doesn't even mean charges were filed. In fact, only 51 of last year's 141 murders resulted in charges, a charging rate of 36%. There's another glaring problem in the flashy statistics. When the chief says this,
we got already an 84% homicide clearance rate.
He's glossing over this. 32 murder cases from years past stuffed into the total of cases that were considered cleared in 2025. If the public only remembered one thing about homicide investigations that doesn't necessarily show up in the stats, what should that be?
Is that I've got detectives here who are pouring their heart and soul into every single one of these cases. Some of them working like they did the other night, 24 hours straight to try to solve a case and put it together.
Police say they are following FBI guidelines used by departments across the country. But even under those rules, a clearance rate does not tell you how many cases were closed.
Tonight, a code red warning in effect for a community in the Metro East 24 hours after a fire tore through a wastewater treatment plant. Right now, more than 4,000 people in Millstadt are being urged to limit their water use. Officials do say that drinking water is safe. The state fire marshal's office and the Illinois EPA are investigating the cause of the fire.
Tonight, sweeping federal funding cuts are hitting nonprofits offering mental health and substance abuse programs.
That includes two right here in St. Louis. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski talked with both about the impact of losing these grants.
Mike and Kelly, overnight, Annie Malone and Prevent Ed both lost multi-million-dollar grants for programs they say actually saved lives in the St. Louis area, putting them in a tough spot to start the new year.
Late Tuesday night, the Trump administration cut $2 billion in funding for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. They provide grants to hundreds of programs across the country. In St. Louis, both Prevent Ed and Annie Malone Children and Family Services lost more than $2 million in funding each.
This is a $2.5 million grant that we have to go into schools and provide drug prevention and treatment and therapy services.
The impact for Prevent Ed is that we have had 4 contracts terminated. And we know when we're talking about substance use that there's no one magic answer to address this crisis.
Annie Malone CEO Keisha Lee says she had to lay off 3 employees and knows their safer drug prevention and treatment program has made a huge difference in people's lives. For one young teen, it saved his life.
He had been expelled from school and he came to our program through his DJO. And he was able to connect with our counselors through this program. He came for treatment every evening. We ended up doing really good and got him into Rankin. I mean, no issues. And he graduated.
And it's a similar story for Prevent Ed. Executive Director Jenny Armbruster says they lost funding for these 4 programs: recovery and treatment, school and community-based education, mental health services, and overdose prevention, providing life-saving Narcan to the community. They witnessed the impact on Wednesday during a mental health program in a local school.
And I had a student share with them, like, thank you for being in my classroom. Thank you for giving me this information, because without it, my friend might have died, because I wouldn't know how to talk to them about these concerns.
Both Lee and Armbruster are worried about what this means for the community's future.
The place you go when you're in a crisis, if they're in a crisis, who's helping who, you know? nobody's helping anyone. So we really need people to, it's time to stand up. And if you think it's not impacting you, like, oh, it don't have nothing to do with me, it's impacting your neighbor.
Both organizations say it's important to reach out to your legislators about this issue. They also need funding support to keep these programs going without the grants. And I have both links on KSDK.com.
A happy ending tonight for a dog that was shot over the Christmas holiday. He's found a new home. Stray Rescue shared this video today of Wallace spending time with the family who has already confirmed to adopting him, or they've committed. From the tail wags to the smiles from his future family, it is clear they already are a perfect match. Last month, Wallace was found by police on a street in the Baden neighborhood. He'd been shot in the face and leg, but one of the bullets narrowly missing his eye. After undergoing successful surgery, Wallace has been on the mend. The Stray Rescue says once he is medically cleared, Wallace will officially go home with his new family. Police are still investigating the incident.
Rising up, a bronze behemoth toppled by an EF3 tornado.
Clearly, St. Louis, it was important for St. Louis to get this statue back stood up.
The monumental return in Fountain Park,
which will honor Dr. King's legacy.
Just in time for the celebration of a civil rights icon.
It's going to be a cold MLK Junior weekend across the bi-state. We're looking at the latest model runs, at the temperature trends, and the potential for a little snow for some of us. We'll see you back here in 7 minutes.
It was a heartbreaking image just months ago. The only public statue of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Missouri toppled by the May 16th tornado. In just a matter of days, the symbol of hope will return to Fountain Park.
As the community prepares for the rededication, Brett Solomon is the only TV reporter with the first look at the restored monument.
For decades, he stood 10 feet tall in North St. Louis. First erected in 1978, this is the only public statue of Dr. King in the entire state. But on May 16th, nature sheared the bronze icon right from its base, leaving the 2,000-pound figure face down in the debris.
The lasting image in my mind is seeing the statue obviously toppled from the mount and seeing a hand, just one hand in the place where the statue stood.
That's when renowned St. Louis sculptor Bob Roca got involved. He's been doing this since the 80s.
It sheared all 4 bolts off, just sheared them right off. So something big hit it. The hand was gone. The head, I had to literally cut half of the head off because it had a dent that was probably 4 inches deep. Big split across its back. The base was broken in half.
Roca has been working one bit at a time. The Incarnate Word Foundation and the Regional Arts Commission providing $9,800 for the repairs. The total value is double that, but Roca considered it a labor of love.
When I walked in here and saw how good this beloved statue of Martin Luther King, it gave me hope. It made me still want to believe that St. Louis is on its way back.
The amazing restoration now prompting new hopes for a wider recovery.
Give them the hope and the inspiration to want to keep going, keep rebuilding, want to stay in the Fountain Park neighborhood in the North St. Louis.
A rededication ceremony will happen Saturday at 9:30 a.m. at Fountain Park.
So we're going to spread joy, spread love, and spread the vision of Dr. King.
Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
Alpha Alpha, SLPS, and Centennial Christian Church are joining community groups for the rededication and a weekend of events that includes a service project for seniors at the Hilton Point Apartments.
Flu cases are climbing across the country, and tonight health experts warn this season is shaping up to be one of the worst in decades. Recent data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows 45 states, including Missouri and Illinois, experiencing high to very high levels of flu activity. Doctors say a fast-spreading strain is driving more ER visits. Tomorrow, St. Louis County Executive Dr. Sam Page and Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham will address the rising flu activity in the community. We will stream their news conference live on our free streaming app beginning at 11 a.m.
Right now, thousands of Verizon customers are still reporting issues with making calls and accessing the internet. It's part of a nationwide outage that started this morning. The issue also affected 911 services in some areas. Some customers have gone for hours without service.
Yeah, I got like 10 hours of screen time on the daily. So I'm getting some withdrawal symptoms right now. So hopefully they can get this fixed for the sake of all of us here. Like, we need our phones, you know what I'm saying? But
Tyson says it's actively working to identify and solve the issue. It's not known when service will return to normal. With just 23 days until the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina, the Olympic torch is making its way through Italy.
The flames slid down the Italian Alps today. The torch relay is sparking some controversy. An Italian Olympic gold medalist is speaking out after being barred from taking part because he now serves in political office. His complaints led to an emergency meeting among Olympic organizers today. We do have several specials about the Winter Olympics on our streaming app. The Ones to Watch features key members of Team USA. You can watch for free by scanning the QR code on your screen. And of course, 5 on Your Side's Corey Miller is headed to Milan Cortina next month to cover the games. Our coverage begins February 6th with the opening ceremony.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell's here with the weather impact forecast. We have a big dip in the temperatures coming up.
You know, it's already going down right now. We're down into the 20s. Wind chills at this point down into the teens for us in St. Louis. So the dramatic change underway. We look at the 7-day forecast. What do you see? Well, temperatures are up and down a little bit, mostly down. Friday, we get a boost back up to 45. But notice Saturday, Sunday, Monday, only in the 20s for highs. Low temperatures on Sunday morning likely to be in the single digits for St. Louis. It is going to be a cold Martin Luther King Day weekend. All right, so right now, skies are mainly clear. What is next? Well, it's obviously cold. Tomorrow night, you have the chance for a little light snow or flurries. Don't think it's a big deal, but that'll be after the evening rush hour tomorrow, more likely around this time in St. Louis, if we see it. What have we changed in this forecast? We added a dusting north and east of St. Louis in particular, and then we lowered the temperatures a bit for Sunday into Monday and into Tuesday. Right now, 26 degrees. Feels like it's 16. That northwest wind today, it gusted above 40 miles per hour for some of us. It's now not quite as strong, but still out of the northwest at 12. We're at our low temperature for the day. The high was 47. You slept through it. It was right after midnight. Temperatures tomorrow morning, under a mainly clear sky, we start out in the teens. Wind chills around 10. It's a cold day, but it's a dry day. Clouds will be on the increase. As it becomes cloudy late in the day, we'll be focusing our attention on the potential for some snow here as we head towards 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Dusting to an inch, mainly north and east of St. Louis. Not everybody gets it. It's going to be somewhat patchy, but we're starting with sunshine tomorrow morning. It's a quiet, cold start for us, not as blustery as today. Clouds roll in. Here we are coming up on 7 o'clock, and we start to see some snow showers here to the north of St. Louis. There's probably a couple of patches that we'll see of some snow. We may see a dusting in some spots. The best chance of seeing anything that could remotely cause a problem would be up Interstate 55, where you may get a half an inch or so going up towards Litchfield, out Interstate 70 towards Vandalia over to Effingham. Friday, another surge of cold air is coming in. And so as we get into Friday afternoon, we probably have a couple of sprinkles that transitions to some snow showers. The coldest of air really starts surging in here as we head into the overnight hours and into early on Saturday. And that settles in for Sunday morning. And even though the winds settle some on Sunday morning, your wind chills will be at or below zero. That's why we have the weather impact alert late Saturday into Sunday for those cold wind chills. Your pets will want some extra cover inside. If they're outside, they need some substantial shelter to keep them warm. We also want to make sure that you're, have your smoke detector checked. Have you tested it to see if it goes off? Battery's all good in it. A lot of people have to use some different types of heating. We want you to be safe. Make sure those smoke detectors are working and use any extra heating source very safely.
And congratulations to Scott celebrating 35 years with KSDK.
Yes, 35 years. Wow.
Why are you saying it like that?
It went fast.
Yes, it did.
It does go by fast, doesn't it?
Frank is next with sports.
Boy, do we have some hoops in this area, folks. Mizzou is surprising us all. Illinois can't lose in the Big Ten, and SLU can't lose, period. Stick around.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel is now available in Missouri.
Josh Schertz would shoot me if he heard me make this statement, and it's maybe unrealistic, but possible. You see, when you're pounding teams like SLU has done this season, you dream big, and I would not be surprised at all if SLU enters the conference tourney 28-3 or 29-2. Fordham was the latest victim tonight. Love this sequence. Robbie Avila wants to pass. open, so when in doubt, just shoot the ball. 16-9 SLU. Kellen Thames has done everything this year except make a three. Well, that drought is over. Thames unstoppable again, relentless at the rim. He had 16 points on shooting.
So much fun, Tom.
Basketball, 3 passes and the bucket for Quentin Jones. SLU up by 14 at halftime. Second half, Ish Sharma around the pick with the 3 and the foul. That's a 4-point play. Later, Jones on the 20. SLU is 16-1 after a 78. 10 in a row for the Billikens.
It's a really good team win. Good performance. You know, certainly there's things to clean up. It wasn't perfect, never is, but a lot to like, particularly defensively. And I thought it was good for us to see, you know, not 40 minutes, but nearly 40 minutes of zone.
Somebody once said there are 2 things that don't last long: teams that can't shoot free throws and dogs that chase cars. Mizzou came into tonight's tilt against Auburn, last in the conference in free throw percentage, but a win, and they're 3-1 in the SEC. All 3 wins against teams picked up ahead of them in the SEC predictions. The Tigers got smoking hot in the first half, particularly this guy, Trent Pierce. He's 6'10" and he's draining threes. Mizzou hit 9 straight shots. Pierce had 5 threes on the night and 18 points. Key moment late. How about T.O. Barrett to Jaden Stone with a bucket and 1. He had a game-high 22 points. Stone will punctuate an 84-74 win. The Tigers are rolling in the SEC with a 3-1 record. Brad Underwood in Illinois trying to go 4-0 on the road in the Big Ten for the first time in 20 years. Tomislav Ivicic on fire. The 7-footer stroking 3-pointers. He had 21. And this Keaton Wagler is one of the best freshmen in America. He had 22 points, 20 in the second half. Illinois wins their 6th in a row, 79-68. It's a new day for Missouri Baptist football. The Spartans introduced Mark Lillibridge as their new head coach. Lillibridge played in the NFL and has worked in the front office for the Packers and Chiefs, and most recently with the UFL as a GM and director of player personnel. Now he's at MoBap, ready to build something special.
If you'd have told me early December that I was going to be the head coach of Missouri Baptist, I would have said, no way. And then, you know, when you pray and you have faith, the doors opened up, and all of a sudden it was just like, all right, it's time to run through this one, and I'm ready to go. As much as I want to help all these guys and help their core and help their heart and help their soul and mind, all of those things, there's nothing better that unifies a group of people in one common goal, and that's winning. And that's what I want to do. And I want to make it relevant again, Missouri Baptist be relevant again when it comes to the national stage of football. And I'm going to coach them and train them to get NFL looks. We're going to be talking to NFL teams. We're going to be talking to UFL teams, CFL teams. Hey, we got these 3 seniors that I think you really need to look at, you know, get a workout with them. And then, you know, hopefully this becomes a place where a kid that grew up in St. Louis says, I can go to school down the road, I can stay home, I can do all the things I want to do, and I still can have a shot to play in the NFL. All right, sign me up.
Now see this. Last night the Blues played one of their best games of the year in shutting out Carolina. And when I say they did everything right, I mean everything right. Second period, and you see forward Oscar Sundqvist lose his stick with Carolina advancing towards the goal. Without missing a stride, defenseman Matthew Kessel just flips the stick right into the hands of Sundqvist, and the play goes on. ESPN's John Buccigross sure was impressed.
Father's GM in Winnipeg, yes. Yeah, so he was let go.
What a cool play right there.
That is a lot of skill.
Yeah, well, it was nice to see them beat a good team like Carolina. That's probably their best win of the year.
I think so. Then Tampa on Friday. We'll see what happens there.
All right. Thanks, Frank. Well, the Winter Olympics in Milan are just a few weeks away, so you can help 5 on Your Side honor the coaches who shape the athletes in our community. Submit your nominations at ksdk.com/thankyoucoach. The deadline is February 1st.
Crown Candy is getting in on the fun after monkeys were spotted on the loose in St. Louis. Now they're selling solid chocolate monkeys.
There it is. It'll be a solid chocolate monkey in about 20 minutes.
As they've already sold several of its solid chocolate monkeys online, the limited edition treats cost $11.50 each. Well, the Cardinals are returning to Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village this weekend for the winter warm-up.
Tickets are still available for the annual fan event, which runs Saturday and Sunday. And on Friday, single game tickets go on sale for the 2026 season. Sales begin at noon on the Cardinals website, by phone, and at the 8th Street ticket window. Opening day is set for March 26th. Hopefully it'll be warmer than this.
Yeah.
Against the Tampa Bay Rays. Players will start reporting to Jupiter for spring training in about 4 weeks. And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. A reminder that we're always streaming on your phone and smart TV.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis. That starts at 5 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.